This is tape number 3 of Uncle Josh Style for Resophonic guitar. The first tune we're going to do, I guess it's been around, well, the tune is I'll Be All Smiles Tonight, and it's been around, I guess, if cavemen had Dobros, they were probably playing I'll Be All Smiles Tonight. It's a real old traditional song. You have anything you can tell us about it, Josh?
No, you about said it all there, Bob. I guess back in the old Civil War days, that tune was around, and it's one of the old standards.
Yes, it is. I'll Be All Smiles Tonight. And now we're going to play that one again slowly, and then we'll take a look at our tablature and we'll start working that song out. Looking now at our tablature for I'll Be All Smiles Tonight in the key of G, the first line starts off with a series of single notes. This entire tune, there are really no big surprises in here, nothing new that we haven't already covered in previous material. We will move through it rather rapidly. The first part of the first line should sound like the fill is a forward roll on the 4th, 3rd, and 1st strings, followed by the thumb running down and catching the 6th string open. The 3rd string will be fretted at the 4th fret in the single note position, that is with the heel of the bar lifted, and the fill sounds like so the first line, the entire first line sounds like the second line sounds like the only difference difference there is that we're just at the on the third string nearly the whole way through, and we have that little hammer on. It goes the hammer on, then open, fourth string, second fret, then open, and the fill is just exactly the same as on the first line, except that there are no notes covered and they're all open. It's now the fifth line, we start out at the fifth fret playing the third and fifth strings, sliding them up to 7, playing those same notes again, then reaching down and playing the sixth and fifth strings, back up to the third and fifth, then playing the second and fourth at the fifth fret and sliding to 7, then playing those same notes again at the 7th fret 3 times, then down to the 5th fret playing the same notes, the 2nd and 4th notes, or strings, then up to the 7th fret and playing the 3rd and 5th strings. Then we do a slant where the 3rd string is covered at the 9th fret, or barred at the 9th fret, the 5th string is barred at the 8th fret, and as we pick those, we straighten them out at the 7th fret. Once again. Then we play the 3rd and 5th strings once again at the 7th fret, dropping down to the 5th fret, playing the same strings. Then we play the 5th and 4th strings at the 12th fret. Then the little fill goes the same as the other 2 fills that we've done. As far as the right hand, the left hand is just barring at the 12th fret all the strings, it sounds like. So that entire third line sounds like. Now the fourth line starts out on the 5th. It's another series of single notes, and I'll just play it for you. Once again. Fill is the same as the first line. The entire fourth line again. The fifth line is a little, pick the 3rd string at the 2nd fret, sliding from 2 to 3 to 2. Picking it once open, and then we hammer on the 4th string at the 2nd fret. Then pick the 3rd string open. Then once again we do that little 2-3-2 on the 3rd string, playing it open afterwards. Then we play the 4th string at the 2nd fret. So that 5th line up to the fill sounds like. That was the little fill part there, the easiest fill of all. Now the 6th line, very similar to the 3rd line, starts off at the 5th fret, sliding to the 7th fret, playing the 3rd and 5th strings, playing those strings again twice, and then the 4th and 6th string, then back up to the 3rd and 5th, and then down to the 5th fret, playing the 2nd and 4th string, sliding to 7, playing that 3 more times, back down to the 5th fret, then up to the 7th fret, playing 3 and 5, then playing 2 and 4. Then we go up to the 12th fret on the 2nd and 4th strings, and we play those strings 3 times. The 3rd time we slant into a backward slant where the 2nd string is covered at the 13th fret, the 4th string is covered at the 14th fret, and that would sound like. The third time we pick the strings at the 12th fret, we slant into that backward slant position. So that would sound like. Then we play the same two strings again at the 12th fret, same two strings at the 10th fret. Then the little ending is just a strum across the strings with the thumb at the 12th fret. So the entire last line of I'll Be All Smiles Tonight sounds like.
Here's a tune that I'd like to play for you that me and Bobby Smith recorded a long time ago. And we kind of got together with this thing. We called it the Shiloh March. Of course, we had a group called the Shilohs, you know, and I'd like to play it for you.
That's an abrupt ending. That's the way you end that, huh?
Yes.
Seems like you play a song different way every time I see you, Josh. You just keep changing them.
Well, you know, it's according, I guess, to the rhythm you have behind you or the mood that you're in.
Yeah.
And this kind of inspires you, I guess, if you got a full rhythm behind you there and a good rhythm section. Means a lot.
That song uses just a whole lot of rolls in there.
Yeah, that's about all it is through that
We'll
one.
start getting on those rolls now. And if you'll play it for us slow now one time, we'll look at the tablature and start working on this song. Looking at our tablature now for Shiloh March in the key of G, we're going to do a simple walk up from on the third string, playing at the 4th fret, playing the first string open. We go one more time. Then we move the bar up to the 7th fret on the 3rd string, leaving the top 2 strings open, and we do a series of 4 forward rolls. Once again, the first line. The second line would be another series of forward rolls led into by a slide from 2 to 4 on the 3rd string. Take the bar off on that last roll and just leave those top 3 strings open. Once again, the second line. The third line is a series of single notes and would sound like. fourth line is just like the first line almost. We slide from 4 to 7 on the third string and go into that series of forward rolls. The fifth line is just exactly like the second line. The sixth line is just another series of one-note slides and so on, and it sounds like. Moving to the next line, or the next page, the first line of the second page sounds like. Those last series of rolls now, we're going to have the 7th fret covered completely except for the first string and leave it open, and it's like a series of 2 forward rolls. Then the thumb reaches down and grabs the 4th string, plays it alone, and then goes right back into 2 more forward rolls. So once again, that first line of page 2 goes. Then the second line of page 2 starts off again with that walk up. Then we grab the 3rd string at the 4th fret and slide it up to 7 and start that whole roll sequence over again. That right there gets us down to the, the 5th and 6th lines, or the ending of the song, and that 5th line on page 2 is going to sound like. That's a series of slides and pull-offs, which we've done before, and a tablature. By looking at the tablature, you can figure out those licks. The timing, once again, on that line is. Well, Josh, there's one I'd like to see you do just for the fun of it. I got to see you or hear you do this one night at the Bluegrass Inn in Nashville, Tennessee, on a cold winter night. I'd never heard it recorded before. It's the old Martha White song, and you kicked that song off on the Dobro. I'd never seen it done before, and I think everybody would enjoy learning to do that.
Well, you know, actually, I never did take the lead on this thing. With Flatt and Scruggs, it was a fiddle and banjo, but
Right.
It's like the fella hunting a tree when a bear got after him. This night I had to do it, so this is my version.
Well, you did. Doesn't it? Can you play that one slowly, or is that a little difficult to do? did that Martha White song come from, Josh? Did y'all write that as a
No.
group, or-
One of the agencies there in Nashville that handled the Martha White account, one of the boys' wife wrote this, and I can't remember who it was, really.
Well,
It seems like it was Alan Hines' wife that did this and come up with that, and we used it for 15 or 16 years.
well, it's almost become a bluegrass standard now.
Well, we recorded it, you know, in Japan. It was one of the hottest tunes we had.
Okay, well, we'll look at the tablature and start breaking that one down now. The Martha White song starts off with a grace note at the 10th fret, then a couple of notes together, walks up to the 12th fret, and we stay at the 12th fret and back and forth a couple of strings. The tablature will explain that, but the first part of that first line, or the intro, sounds like. Once again. Then we brush completely across the 12th fret and raise the bar to the single note position on the first string and slide it up to 14, and that would sound like. Once again. Then back down to the 12th fret and play the first and second strings. Then down to the 10th fret and do that brush stroke again. Picking the 10th string again. Then going down on the first string and sliding from 5 to 7. Picking 5, the first string. Second string, 5 to 3. So that the first line, or the intro, sounds like. Then we start into the song, and it starts at the 5th fret. And look at your tab now. It's going to show you first and third strings are played at the 5th fret. Then we slant the bar so that the first string is covered at the 7th fret, the third string at the 5th fret. Move it up 2 frets, so now that the bar is at the 9th fret on the first string and the 7th fret on the third string. Sorry. Then we sort of straighten the bar out a little bit so that we have a slant. The bar is now covering the 10th fret on the first string and the 9th fret on the third string, so that that little section sounds like. Then we drop down to the 5th fret, and that's pretty self-explanatory. Once again, the second line would go. The third line would go. The fourth line would go. Once again, the fourth line would go. Then we go into a grace note at the 10th fret and then walk up to the 12th. Picking the first string, then the 12th, sliding to the 10th on the second and fourth strings. Playing the 10th fret again, the second and fourth string. And then sliding up to the 12th fret, picking that first string at the 12th fret again. So that that fifth line sounds like. Then another grace note on the 6th line. Then the 12th fret, second and fourth string. I'll play the entire 6th line again. Then we go up to that last last line of the intro, last little part of the intro, catching it at the 10th fret. So the last line would sound like.
Here's a waltz I'd like to play for you that I named this after my little granddaughter, Jennifer. And maybe someday she'll get this course, and maybe she'll learn to play the Dobro or the Jones. But she plays about every instrument. It's called Jennifer Waltz.
Can you play that now, or make it just a short do
Slow.
of the first part of it slowly for us, Josh?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Slowly that the second part where you went up on the high strings with the slants. Tablature and break this tune down. Jennifer Waltz, the first line starts off with a series of single notes. For the most part, they're open notes, but or open strings, but there are some notes in there that will require barring, and we'll use our single note position, that is the heel of the bar lifted and only that one string covering or being covered by the bar. It starts off with once again the first line. second line, we use a couple of double notes there and some slides. Starts off with the first string being picked open, then a slide from 4 to 5 on the third string, picking the open string, the first string open, then picking at that position, then sliding down to 4 again. Then the little fill sounds like, notice again that the third string is barred at the 4th fret for that little fill, and it's just a little 3-note thing. So that the second line sounds like, once again, then the third line would be the same as the first line again, once again. The fourth line is very similar to the second line, except that the slide is going to be on a different string, picking the first string open, and then picking the first string and the third string, sliding from 2 to 4 on the third string while the first string is still open, then sliding back down to 2, then picking those 2 strings open, the first and third. And then the fill is just a simple, so that the fourth line sounds like, the fifth line is a little trickier than the previous lines. It requires some hammer-ons and some pull-offs, and even some hammer-on and pull-offs. It starts off, the second line is, or the second string is picked open and hammered on at the first fret. Then the first line, or first string, is picked open, hammered on at the second fret, followed immediately by a pull-off. Then the second string is picked again, this time at the barred at the first fret and pulled off. Then the third string is picked at the second fret with a pull-off. Then the fourth string is picked at the second fret. Then the third string is picked open. Third string is picked open once more. Then it's picked at the second fret. Then we pick the second string open with a hammer on it, 1. Then we pick the first string open. Then we put the bar at the third fret on the first string and slide it from 3 to 5. Then we pick the first string at 5 twice more. Then we walk down 4 and 2 on the 4 and 2 frets on the first string, so that the first line would sound like, or the fifth line would sound like, and that leads us to the sixth line, and the first string is picked open. Then the second string is picked open with a hammer on at 1. Then it's picked once again with a hammer on at 1 and a pull-off. Then the third string is picked at the second fret and pulled off. Then the fourth string is picked at the 4th fret. Then the third string is picked open, then barred at the second fret. Then the second string is picked open and barred at the first fret. Then the first string is picked open with a hammer on at the second fret with a pull-off. So that sounds like, so that the fifth and sixth lines together would sound like, and that leads us into the seventh line, which is exactly like the first line, and it goes, exactly like the fourth line, which goes. Now the ninth line, we just lay our bar all the way across the 5th fret, and we pick in a pattern like this. Once again. Then the rest of that line goes. And that leads us to line 10, which is the same as line 2, and goes. Then line 11 is the same as line 9, which is what we just did. And then line 12 would sound like. Now looking at line 13, we're going to start using some tremolo and some vibrato. Starting out at the 17th fret, we're playing on the 1st and 2nd strings. Now you have to just get a sense of the timing on this thing, but it starts out on the 7th fret. Then you slide down to where you're slanted at the 1st string is covered at the 14th fret, the 2nd string is covered at the 13th fret. Straightening it out at the 12th fret, down to the 10th fret, and then another slant, forward slant. The 9th fret is covered on the 1st string, or the 1st string is covered at the 9th fret. The 2nd string is covered at the 8th fret. So that line 13 would sound like. Once again. Once again, very slowly. The 14th line starts out on the 7th fret, and we're picking now the strings together. Pick the 1st and 2nd strings twice. Then we move up to the slanted bar position where the 1st fret is covered at the 9th fret, or the 1st string is covered at the 9th fret, the 2nd string is covered at the 8th fret. Then we straighten the bar out at 10. Then we go up to a slanted position where the 1st string is covered at the 13th fret, the 2nd string is covered at the 12th fret, and as we strike that, we slide it up to where the bar is covering the 14th fret at the 1st string and the 13th fret at the 2nd string. Then we pick in that position once, straighten the bar out at 12, down to 10, slant the bar again, so now we're looking at the 1st string covered at the 9th fret, the 2nd string covered at the 8th fret, straightening out at 7, then the 5th fret, we play the 1st and 2nd strings, then we play the 2nd and 3rd strings, then we play that little grace note there, which is the 4th string and the 2nd string, so that line would sound, the 14th line would sound like. Once again. And the 15th line is a group of single notes starting at the 5th fret. Then we go down and catch 2, 3, 2. Once again, the 15th line. Josh, we've taken a look at several songs in G now, and we've had a couple of them in C. Now we're going to try one in a different chord. We're going to play in the A chord, and like I say, Josh doesn't use a capo. I guess they hadn't been invented when he started. But this is a tune in A, and it's called Flatt Lonesome. That was Flatt Lonesome, sort of a bluesy sort of tune, isn't it, Josh?
I like to think of it as a blues, Bob. It's you can put about anything in there you want to, you know, when it slides.
You did a little reverse slant there with a roll that is going to be kind of tricky. We'll take a look at that in the tablature. Pretty straightforward tune, but it does have some real interesting slants and some slides in there that we'll be looking at in the tablature. Flatt Lonesome is not a particularly difficult piece to play. However, to play it smoothly requires some concentration and some practice. The first line starts off and the little fill after that sounds like, so that first half of the first line sounds like, the second half of the first line sounds like, once again, the second line, very much like the first line, starts off and the fill is the same as we used at the first line. Second half of the second line goes, and the fill sounds like, so the whole second line sounds like, third line starts off with the bar at the 5th fret, slides from 5 to 7, and the fill sounds like, once again, then we go up to the 8th fret and we pick the 1st, 2nd, and 4th strings, and it sounds like, and that fill sounds like, Once again the fill. So the entire third line sounds like the fourth line sounds like, and that fill would sound like. Then the second half of the fourth line would sound like. That's with the fill. So that the entire fourth line would sound like. The fifth line, now we're going to play the first, second, and fifth strings at the 7th fret, walking up to the 8th and 9th, and then there's a tricky little fill there that sounds like. The first half, or the first third of the fifth line sounds like. Once again. Then it goes up to the 10th fret, same strings. And that fill would sound like. Once again. And then we walk from the 9th down to the 7th fret and play the 7th fret twice, and it would sound like. And that's with the little fill. And the 6th line would sound like. You might try that a few times. Now the 7th line is going to require a backward slant where the bar is going to be covering the first string at the 4th fret, the second string at the 5th fret, and the third string at the 6th fret. You start a forward roll. And as you do that, you sort of slide the bar down and straighten it out at the 2nd fret. So that 7th line would sound like. Then you can do a fill, which would be just about anything. I'll play the 7th line again. Now you play the 7th line twice, then you play the 8th line, which would be a forward slant, or excuse me, a reverse slant, where the first string is covered at the 9th fret, the second string is covered at the 10th fret, and the third string is covered at the 11th fret. You start that forward roll again, straightening it out at the 7th fret, then just do a little fill. Then we go and play the 7th line, or excuse me, the 4th line again, and we've already done that. It sounds like. Then we play the 9th line, and it starts off with a grace note at the 7th fret, walking up to the 9th fret, well, the 8th and the 9th fret. Do a little fill. Then we go up to the, hit it at the 9th fret, playing the second, well, the first, second, and 4th string, sliding to 10. Playing 10 again, then sliding back down to 9. and then that last part of line 9 would sound like. Once again. Little fill there. And then we go back and we play line 6 again, which sounded like. Slowing all the time as we do that, and then that last little lick would sound like.